You know, I started wearing hats because I looked goofy with short hair, but now it's getting to the point where I look goofy even with the hat on, so I can't win. Anyway, today I'm making a pretty different type of video from the normal videos that I would typically make, and this is 10 games that I truly believe every gamer needs to play at least once before they die. Now, keep in mind, this is not a definitive list, and I could and probably will easily make a part 2, 3, 4, 5, and etc. I would also like to mention that I do own all of these games physically, however, we are only going to be showing off the disc-based games because I'm sorry, but right now all of my cartridges are kind of buried under a bunch of boxes in my closet because I need to get another shelf at some point because I have one bookshelf right now for all my games and I need to get another one that I can put cartridges and the rest of my physical games on. But yeah, I'm sorry, you couldn't pay me enough to dig everything out of that closet right now. It is an absolute catastrophe in there. But anyway, this list will be in no particular order, and again, it is not completely definitive. I could easily make more parts to this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just get right into it, shall we? The first game being Minecraft. And I will also mention before we get too far into this that this is going to be more of a general, okay, maybe you're newer to gaming, maybe you're very casual, you only play like Animal Crossing, Roblox, and Minecraft, and you don't play much of anything else, and you know, you're looking for other games to expand your horizons, or maybe you've never touched a video game before and you're just looking for places to begin. And I truly believe like Minecraft is one of the best first games to play because it gives you the utmost freedom to do whatever you want. If you want to go into creative mode and just build a bunch of stuff, you can do that. If you want to go into survival mode and try to get all crazy with it, go hunting for diamonds, build a mega base, go fight the Ender Dragon, go fight the Wither, go fight the Guardian, all the other crazy bosses you've added to the game, get a bunch of pets and start a farm. You can do literally anything in Minecraft. You can build anything in Minecraft. The world is yours to do exactly what you want. And I truly believe that this is one of the best first video games. In fact, my 4-year-old little brother, guess what? He just got into Minecraft recently, and it has honestly been such a magical experience to play alongside him because, you know, obviously Minecraft is crossplay now in the latest version, so I'm able to join him off my PC, my Xbox, or just off my phone directly. And seeing him like walk around and try to build and learn how to like break stuff, how to hit mobs, how to dig himself into holes underground that he can't get out of. It's just a really cool experience all around. So yeah, if you're new to video games or if you're just looking for a game to play, I know Minecraft is literally the best selling game of all time, so the chances of you not even seeing this before or playing it before are very low, but you never know. Maybe there's some older folks watching this that aren't very tuned in online, which if anything, I'd say that's a blessing considering the modern state of the internet. But yeah, Minecraft, highly recommend it. There is newer additions of the game, by the way. I just had to show the 360 version for nostalgia purposes. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have one of my favorite RPGs of all time, and one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time, just one of my top 5 favorite video games of all time. That being Cyberpunk 2077. I got it in this beautiful slipcover here, and it has like obviously the game under it and a bunch of other extra goodies. Cyberpunk 2077. What do I even say about this game? Now, oh my god, I just dropped it. I'm sorry, Cyberpunk. It's okay. Everything is okay. But anyway, Cyberpunk is a game where, yes, at launch, it was a little bit rough. There was some bugs. Yes, the game ran absolutely terribly on the base PS4 and especially the Xbox One S. But after many patches and after, you know, just the latest revitalizations of the next gen version, even if you go back to play it on a base PS4 and Xbox One S, which I did out of curiosity, in fact, I played it on a base Xbox One VCR, not even the S, the VCR model, and it actually ran fine. Granted, was it running at like 720p, maybe sub 720p at some spots? Yeah. Did the frame rate still tank a little bit? Yeah. Is it a big deal? Is it unplayable? Absolutely not. There is very few bugs in the game now. It is very well polished now, and it performs well as well. Obviously, it is very unfortunate that the game couldn't just release in a nice and polished state, but, you know, that's just the modern state of gaming. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes. I truly believe the best way to go into games is completely blind, so when I talk about these games, I'm going to keep it as generic as possible, maybe give a few plot points if applicable, that if it wouldn't spoil too much of things. So when it comes to Cyberpunk, basically, you're setting out in Night City, you place the main character V, and you can choose your path. You can either start the game as a nomad, as a corpo, as a shriek kid, however you want to start it. Honestly, the decision that you make as to like the lifestyle that you want to have won't have too much of an impact on the overall story of the game, like in the broader terms. It will have an impact on like the first portion of the game, the first couple missions, some of the dialogue options that you have throughout the game, some of the knowledge that you'll have, and different options that you have at certain points in the game. But no matter what path you choose, you're still going to have the same general layout. And if you're wondering how I know that, it's because I played the game game as every single life option, one for every single ending. You know, 100% of the game, absolutely obsessed with it. But basically in Cyberpunk, as I mentioned before, it is a first-person shooter RPG, very akin to something like, say, Fallout. You know, if you're, well, Fallout 3 and later, the first couple Fallout games were different, but you get what I mean. If you're newer to video games, you might not know what that means. Basically, a first-person shooter is, it's a game where the camera is placed at eyeball level, as if everything you're seeing is actually happening. All you can see is your hands. You're walking around with a gun shooting. An RPG just means role-playing game, which means you can role-play however you want. Again, as like a Street Kid, Nomad, Corpo, you can choose what skills you want, what abilities you want throughout the game, and since it's Cyberpunk 2077, there is a lot of cool futuristic abilities, vehicles, and a lot of stuff for you to mess around with, hacking type stuff. It is one of my top 5 favorite video games of all time. It's an absolute masterpiece, and if you have not played Cyberpunk before, whether you're a new gamer or whether you're, you know, an avid gamer, it doesn't matter, you should definitely experience Cyberpunk at least once. Next up, we have one of my favorite open world games of all time. Grand Theft Auto 4. Now, you may be wondering, like, why didn't I put Grand Theft Auto 5? And that's simply because I feel like everybody knows. It's sort of similar to Minecraft, right? Like, everybody knows about Grand Theft Auto 5, though you could definitely insert Grand Theft Auto 5 here. I just wanted to go with 4 because this was the first Grand Theft Auto to bring GTA into the HD era, and it's, look, I'm not saying that 4 is better than 5 or 5 is better than 4, because really, they're two completely different games, but if I was to have somebody have their first GTA experience, I feel like GTA 4 strikes the balance between new GTA and old GTA, because there's a certain vibe about games like GTA 3, San Andreas, Vice City, where it's like, okay, it has that gritty Grand Theft Auto tone, but like gritty but also lighthearted at the same time. You know, there's a certain darkness to all of the lightheartedness, and then you get to Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's definitely a newer era of GTA, and GTA 6 seems to have the same thing, where it doesn't really have those old school GTA vibes, but it's still very much GTA, whereas I feel like GTA 4 sort of has the best of both worlds, where it has those old school tones in it, but it also feels a bit like GTA 5 in some ways, so I feel like GTA 4 would be a good jumping off point. Now, just to give a brief synopsis of the game, you play as the main character named Niko Bellic, who is an immigrant from Russia. He was in the military and such, went through a lot of stuff, and he comes to meet his cousin, Roman. Niko, let's go bowling. And from there, as you can expect, you know, in a GTA game, you'll be robbing a lot of cars, robbing a lot of stores, robbing some banks, doing a lot of crazy stuff in the game, lots of explosions, lots of gunfights, lots of cop chases, lots of sexy strippers, all the stuff you love in a video game and all the stuff that you love in a GTA game. So again, really, I don't want to spoil too much of it. If you want to plow through the story, you can do that. If you want to play online, you can still do that. There's still a dedicated community of folks. Their servers are still online, which is funny because the PS3 version of GTA 5 was taken offline back in, like, what, 2022 or something? GTA 4, though, from 2008, still online and kicking. You can still play it, and I can only assume that that's because there's no remastered version of this game like there is for, say, GTA 5. But, yeah, whether you play through the story, play online, or if you just kind of run around, put in a bunch of cheat codes, get a bunch of money and armor and stuff, and start shooting cops, you know, the world is your sandbox, very similar to Minecraft. You can do basically whatever you want in this game, and I would highly recommend checking out GTA 4. Whether you get it on PS3, Xbox 360, or if you play it backwards compatibly on Xbox One, Series X or S, or get it on PC, no wrong way to go about it. Definitely check out GTA 4. There it is, Halo Combat Evolved. Halo is one of my favorite games of all time, once again. Where do I even begin with Halo? So we'll give a brief plot synopsis, I guess. You play as the main character here, Master Chief. You shoot a bunch of aliens in the face, and you're trying to save the world. Just put it simply as that. Oh, well, you're not really trying to save the world. You're like, you know, you're on this Halo ring, and it's a whole thing. I'm keeping it as brief as possible because there actually is a lot of interesting stuff that happens in this game just in terms of the plot, and a lot of things that I wasn't necessarily expecting, because it starts out as being like a war between two factions, but then by the end it's sort of like World War III or Halo World 3, whatever you want to call it. You're fighting the Covenant and the Flood, but the Covenant and the Flood are also fighting each other, so there's like these parts towards the latter half of the game where you're running through and you can see like everybody fighting and you're fighting, and don't worry, that's not too much of a spoiler, not really a spoiler at all, you know, it happens relatively early enough in the game. But yeah, Halo Combat Evolved. It was obviously revolutionary for its time, but even nowadays it is still just such an amazing game. Like, I can sit here gushing for hours. Just to give a brief example here, right? Like, my one of my younger brothers, he's like a teenager, and about a year or two ago now, I sat him down to try playing Halo Combat Evolved. He didn't play through the whole game yet. I just wanted him to try it out for his own because, you know, I'm his older brother. I had to hook him up. I hooked him up with an original Xbox, a copy of Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, and a few other games, because, you know, I'd sat him down, and I was like, hey, bud, try Halo Combat Evolved. Try this out, because, you know, me and him, growing up, played, like, Call of Duty all the time and all them other games. We even played like Halo 4 together when that came out. And yeah, he played through the first mission, and dude, you should have seen the grin on his face. He was like, I love this. So I was like, you know, his birthday was coming up, so before he left, I hooked him up with the original Xbox, got Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, and some other games sent to his house, hooked him up with the controller and everything like that. There was so much to be said about Halo, man. And the nice thing is that you don't even just have to get it on original Xbox if you want to play it nowadays. Granted, that's my preferred way to play it, but if you want to play it on, say, like the Master Chief Collection, which is available on Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PC, you know, there's so many other ways to play it, then you can just go ahead and play Halo Combat Evolved on there and still get that original experience. I would recommend switching the graphics from the modern graphics to the original ones, though. Don't get me wrong, the Anniversary graphics look nice. When I'm playing a game for the first time, I like to see it and play it in its original intended version, original graphics, original console, original hardware, all that. That's why when I go back to play, say, GTA 5, the story mode in that game, I go back to play like the PS3 and 360 version, just because sure, the new versions look great, but that original version, right? There's something about the art style and the color palette where that feels more like GTA 5. There's just something about that art style that really coheses. Is that a word? Coheses better, in my opinion, in the original version. And same here with Halo Combat Evolved. My preferred way to play this game is 4x3 on a CRT on the original Xbox. Next up, we have Death Simulator, aka Dark Souls. Now, I know this it might throw you off a little bit, like, hold up, isn't this a video for like newer gamers? And yeah, it kinda is, but you know, this is also just for gamers, period. If you've been turned off from the Souls series, or if you've just been too scared to play for one reason or another, you heard about all the deaths, you heard about all the difficulty, you aren't too sure about it, trust me, just give it a shot. I was the same way. I played Dark Souls back in the day, died a bunch, gave up on it, revisited it in like 2020, 2021, the same thing happened, gave up on it. Then in late 2022, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna sit down, I'm just gonna play it. So I played through Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Sekiro, all of it in the span of like, what, 4 or 5 months, not even, and I loved every single second of every single game, and obviously that wouldn't have, oh, and Demon Souls, how could I forget? I also played through Demon Souls, and then went on to play a bunch of other Souls-likes, but anyway. That never would have happened if I wouldn't have sat through Dark Souls for the first time. And I will say that between like Dark Souls and Demon Souls, those are still my 2 favorite Souls games. Don't get me wrong, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, DS3, they're all great and all, but something about Dark Souls and, you know, Demon Souls as well. There's something about these original Souls games, man. They just have that vibe. They just have that grit. I love it so much. Just to give a brief synopsis, you basically play as an unnamed warrior that you can name and you can choose the class and everything. And you kill a bunch of stuff. I really don't know how to talk about Dark Souls without really spoiling it, right? Like, you're gonna fight a lot of enemies, you're gonna fight a lot of bosses. Dark Souls is more or less like a Metroidvania too, where you're gonna be exploring these environments, but then later in the game you'll be able to come back to those environments via shortcuts that you'll find later. And yeah, you know, the game is, by definition, I guess, somewhat difficult, but it's definitely not as hard as everybody makes it out to be. In fact, once you learn the game, Dark Souls now is actually quite an easy game for me. Same with, say, Demon Souls. Sure, they're not the hardest Souls games of the bunch, but they're still, you know, challenging in the grand scheme of video games. So if that doesn't tell you anything, it should just tell you that while yes, these games can be challenging, they're not challenging in a BS way, they are challenging in a this is fair, but once you learn them, you know, you'll be all good way. In fact, you could even master them to the extent of where they become relatively easy, like they are for somebody like me and, you know, a lot of the speedrunners out there now. Next up, we have the game that still puts me in tears no matter how many times I play it and its sequel, The Last of Us. If I had to choose between part 1 and part 2, you know, I wanted to put both on this list, but since this is a top 10, I kind of had to restrict myself to just one, but now, you know what? That's lame. I'm breaking the rules. This is going to be 11 games that every gamer should play at least once. Give me a sec. I don't care what anybody says. Part 2 is on par with the original, and not only is it on par, but these are part of the same package. You cannot have one without the other. I mean, by technicality, you can, right? Because we only had this one for like 7, or more than 7 years until part 2 ended up coming out, because there was like a long development cycle. But these games are 2 parts of a large story, and oh my goodness, these games are fantastic. Where do I even begin with this? So, to give you a brief synopsis without spoiling anything, because I can't even talk about part 2 without like spoiling. Like, there's literally nothing that I can talk about from part 2 that, you know, wouldn't spoil anything here. So basically, I'm just gonna say this: the game is about you playing as this main character Joel, and you're tasked with taking this girl Ellie, who is immune to this virus in the world, because it's sort of like a zombie apocalypse game, but not really. They're called clickers. You have to take her the whole way across the country. So through the game, you're going to be traveling across the entire United States throughout an entire year, experiencing all the different seasons and such. And that's really all I can say about the game without spoiling anything. Again, you know, there's going to be a lot of stealth in the game, a lot of like crafting and action and such. And, you know, in part 2, again, there's not much I could talk about here without absolutely spoiling everything. So I'm just going to say that Ellie's a bit older now. Joel's a bit older now too by proxy, just because that's how time works. And unfortunately, that's all I can say without spoiling anything. But seriously, whether you're a gamer or whether you've never played a game before, it doesn't matter. Play these games at least once. You know, they have a lot of accessibility options, especially if you get the PS5 versions, like Last of Us Part 1, the remake, and then The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. They have a lot of accessibility options to make the game easier for you to get through if you're not acquainted with video games, if you're blind, if you're deaf. Like, they have so many accessibility options, and it's so cool. They made it available to a wide range of people. So please, I'm literally begging you, play The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 as soon as you can. Next up, we have our 2 cartridge-based games. And again, I'm sorry, I'm not digging them out of my closet, bro. If only you can... There's a reason that it's so dark back there by my closet. You can see, like, some of it. It is an absolute catastrophe. Don't worry, the games are safe, but nothing else in my closet is. The first cartridge game that I want to talk about is Super Mario World. Now, this is a 2D platformer from the Super Nintendo era, and when I was making this list, I was like, we need variety. We need some puzzle games, we need some 2D platformers, some 3D games, some RPGs, etc. So I wanted to go ahead and toss Super Mario World on the list. It is one of my favorite games from my childhood, and to this day, it is one of my favorite games to go back and revisit annually. Super Mario World, for those that somehow don't Mario, or for that somehow don't Mario, I'm sorry, my brain is failing me. For those that somehow don't know Mario, basically, Super Mario World is a 2D platformer, again, from the Super Nintendo 16-bit era, and, you know, you run around, you jump on Koopas, you jump on Goombas, you jump on a Bowser, you got this friendly dinosaur named Yoshi that you can jump on and eat apples and baddies with, and that's basically it. You know, running around, getting more lives, collecting coins and all that, and it's just a great time. Oh, and the soundtrack in the game, don't even get me started. And the world themes, they're all based around food. You gotta play Super Mario World at least once, man. The game, chef's kiss, one of the best video games of all time. Next up, we have The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. How could I make a list like this without talking about Ocarina of Time? Oh my gosh. One of the best video games ever made. Like, hands down, not even a question, one of the best video games ever made. It doesn't matter if you play the N64 version or the 3DS version. I'd recommend playing the Nintendo 64 version just because I'm biased and I prefer that version. The 3DS version is still great. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great remake. Again, I just like playing games on original hardware, and there's something about the N64 vibe. Like, you know, there's just something about it, right? Like, the lower frame rate, the darker, moodier lighting. I know the 3DS version is more faithful to the original concept art and the original artistic vision of the game per se. But I'm sorry, the Nintendo 64 version was made with those quote-unquote limitations or, you know, just one thing or another in mind. And it's definitely a situation where I feel like they knocked it out of the park the first time. And again, I'm not saying the remake is bad. The remake is fantastic. It's just as good as the original game. It's just different. And different isn't bad. It's just different. And I just happen to prefer the original version of the game. But again, you can't go wrong either way. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is a game where you're going to be playing as a Link. I know a lot of people look at the game, they see you play as the, you know, the little boy or the adult boy, depending on what part of the game you're talking about, you know, with the green hat and everything. They're like, oh, that must be Zelda because it's the name of the game. But no, that's Link. You're trying to save Princess Zelda. Basically, just to give you the brief synopsis, some stuff happens. You got to protect Hyrule from this evil Gerudo called Ganondorf. Are you supposed to say Gerudo or Gerudo? I never knew it because they don't talk in the game. They just have the text there. Gerudo. Okay, so yeah, it's a G sound. I wasn't sure. I literally had to Google it. But in Zelda, if I could break it down as simply as possible, you have this large open world, which is one of the first open world games in a video game, like at least when it comes to like 3D games. Obviously, there was like some before this, but it was definitely one of the first open world games to just fully utilize every aspect of its world. And you know, you go back to these places too, right? Because it's not just like, oh, it's open world, you know, you kind of go to these levels at least once and you never go back to them. No, like for example, Kokiri Village, or no, it's Kakariko Village. It's one of those. I was getting confused with the forest because the beginning forest name is also very similar. But anyway, you end up going back to that village like literally several times throughout the game. Basically the same with like every other place in the game. You go back to each place at least once, in some cases like 2 to 3 times. But basically you'll be progressing through this story, encountering these new areas, and the game is very dungeon based, right? Like you enter a dungeon, and inside of the dungeon is all of the tools that you'll need to clear said dungeon. So there might be a point in the dungeon where it's like, oh, there's this locked door, so I need to go get a key. Well, in order to get the key, you need a certain pair of boots. Oh wait, I don't have these boots yet. Let me go talk to this person, do this quest for them, get the boots, go back to the dungeon, and then, you know, sort of like keep progressing through there. I know I'm doing like a terrible job at explaining it, so I'm hoping that all of that makes sense. You'll be fighting a lot of enemies, fighting a lot of big bads, and I won't spoil anything, but man, oh man, the final battle in this game, or just like the final act of this game in general, is so freaking epic. It is not even funny, and that is one aspect where I'll say the final battle of this game, again, no spoilers, the Nintendo 64 version did it so much better than the 3DS version. Man, the lighting when you, oh my gosh, if you know, you know. I'm looking into getting a replica ocarina from that game here soon, so then I can try to learn some of the songs on it, because like I know how to hum them out, but obviously that's different from playing it. Like they're so burned in my head, like Saria song or Saria song, however so say it goes like do 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 or something like that. Like those will forever be burned in my brain. Next up we have Portal 2. I easily could have included Portal 1, but I feel like Portal 2 just took everything from Portal 1 and just amped it up, right? Like the story, the villain, and the ending to Portal 2 will always be one of not only my favorite endings in all of gaming, but also just like one of the most epic ones. Portal 2 is a first-person puzzle game. It's sort of similar to the other first-person shooters we were talking about, where like, you know, you see from the player's like eyeball perspective, and all you can see is like the gun that they're holding. Basically, you have this portal gun. You can use, there's 2 different colors to your portals, right? You got blue and orange, and basically you can connect these portals so then you can complete certain puzzles in the environment. So say if I would shoot a blue portal right in front of me and shoot an orange portal somewhere else, if I throw this stress ball through the blue one, it'll pop out through the orange one that I just shot over there. And the same thing applies to if you like put yourself through it. So that's kind of a generic way of explaining the game, but it's really the only way that I know how to explain the game. It's not that there's anything I can necessarily spoil, it's just that there's so many fascinating ideas and puzzle designs that they have in this game that I wouldn't want to potentially ruin any for anybody. But I will say that, yeah, if you haven't played Portal 2 before, or even just Portal 1, you don't need to play 1 before 2, but it could help if you want to understand some of the references, I suppose. But if you just want to play one of the games, then yeah, you can definitely just go ahead and play Portal 2. Also, I was going to show a physical copy, but I forget, did they have a physical for Portal 2? I just got it like free for like from Xbox Gold, I think, a while ago. So I don't know, I just already had the game over there, but if they have a physical copy, I want to pick one up, because Portal 2 is awesome, dude. That's another one of my favorite games of all time. It's so good. And finally, we have my favorite video game of all time, Resident Evil 4. I could never do that. You know, the voice that the guy does, because the original games, it was just like, Resident Evil. The guy in here smoked like 5 packs of cigarettes. Like, Resident Evil 4. In Resident Evil 4, you play as this handsome man right here, Leon Kennedy. Also, I know this is a greatest hits copy. I'm just as ashamed as you are. Listen, I picked this up at GameStop back in like I don't even remember what year it was. Basically, I had a Black Label copy. My mom and dad got a divorce. I didn't have RE4 at my mom's house, and that just wasn't gonna fly. I needed RE4. So we went to GameStop. This was the only copy that they had. So I'm gonna pick up a Black Label at some point, but I've always held on to this just because it was one of my original copies of this game. But anyway, you play as this handsome man, Leon Kennedy, and you're trying to save the president's daughter, Ashley Graham. And along the way, you're gonna be fighting not zombies, but Ganados. They are zombie-esque, but not exactly zombies. You'll be fighting a lot of them, you'll be fighting a lot of bosses, you'll be collecting some herbs, collecting some ammo, doing a lot of item management in the oh-so-beloved attaché case. And once you beat the game once, you can go through it on harder difficulties, or you can play some of the side campaigns, like for example, Separate Ways, in order to unlock new goodies, like the Chicago Typewriter, the Infinite Rocket Launcher, the Hand Cannon, the PRL 412, other outfits like, you know, Leon in his original RPD outfit, or the One Mafia outfit, and there's other outfits for Ashley too. Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game of all time. It means a lot to me. It was there for me through a lot of things, and to this day I go back and revisit it on a yearly basis, just because the game means that much to me, and I genuinely love it that much, where I constantly have that itch to go back and play it again. So whether you're a gamer, whether you're new to video games, it doesn't matter. make sure you play Resident Evil 4 as soon as possible. It is my favorite game of all time, and definitely one of the greatest games of all time, period. Not to mention the fact that Resident Evil 4 was the catalyst for most modern game design when it comes to third-person shooters, right? Like the whole over-the-shoulder, you know, every time that you aim down, the camera kind of comes in close, and you can kind of like see where Leon's aiming, but it doesn't necessarily go to first person. It still stays in that third-person view, which we'd see basically every other third-person game after that adopt, right? Like Gears of War and like every other game that you can think of. Was it the first game to do that? Not necessarily, but it was definitely the one that really popularized that control scheme. In fact, I love this game so much that I actually just learned the save theme on guitar. I'm gonna put the clip on screen, but don't laugh. It's going to sound like garbage because my phone microphone is garbage. It sounds a lot better in person. I had to record on my electric as well because I tried recording it on acoustic, but my phone microphone was literally too garbage to pick it up. So it does sound better on acoustic, but it still sounds great on electric, obviously, so I'll go ahead and toss that clip on screen. But anyways, there it is. There is 10 games that every gamer should play at least once. Again, this is not a complete definitive list. There's many other games that I could have included on this list and that I would have loved to include on this list. So if you guys want another video like this where we go in and, you know, maybe make like 2, 3, 4, 5, or who knows, maybe this could even become like a long-running series where we end up covering thousands of games by the time that it's over. Whatever it is, if you guys want to see more videos like this, just let me know and I'd be more than happy to make them. But anyways, always massive shout out to get on the Patreons and channel members to get on the low ball tier, and shout out to the ball team, asking and be down many the big shout out on GT run events on the cheese girl. Thank you guys so much, guys. The Roll Legends. I love you. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.